I recently stayed in a perfect tiny Welsh cabin, tucked within a beautiful natural setting. And while it's the dead of winter with snow and ice, I was still lucky to see some cool species, rare habitats, and a very special place here in Wales. I can't tell you just how excited I am to officially get Wales on the channel. We have a 4 hours and 44-minute drive, and although it's blue skies right now, I think we might be getting some snow. Oh, we're really on the backcountry roads now. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that, but that says -9 right now. I really don't want to skid. We're going down an icy hill now. And there it is. There's my home for the next few nights. I tell you, the night sky here is just, it's crystal clear. I can see so many stars. You know, I don't normally comment on a bedspread, but that's a lovely bedspread. Ooh, we got ourselves a shower, sink, and a compost toilet. I'm gonna wind down, relax, and then we can have a good look around in the morning. Looks like we've got a very plump robin on the bird feeder there. I've seen a blue tit as well. I wonder how these tiny birds survive the winter. I mean, many of them don't. You know, I can see over there, looks to be some kind of apple tree. You can see a tit is just feeding on it. Some oats and seeds here. So we're gonna set that down. Look at him. Greater spotted woodpecker. He's going to town. Okay, looks like the birds have been having a little bit of a nibble there. Let's go and have a look around. One of my favourite parts of running Leaf Curious is getting outside, being in nature, interacting with the natural world. But as many of you know, that's only part of the job. Like most of us, a big chunk of my days is still spent behind a screen, editing, writing, planning and researching. The hours really do add up, and honestly, I often find the internet can be distracting, sometimes overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be. What if there was a way to bring that sense of calm and focus that the outside world gives us inside? That's where Opera Air comes in, who are the partners for this video. What you can hear now is one of Opera Air's natural ambient soundscapes. This one is birds in the woods, and it's paired with a very subtle binaural beat, which you can adjust to your own preference. This is part of their Boosts feature. I find it deeply calming, and it especially helps when reading and writing. And honestly, if you've never tried working with a natural soundscape before, I really recommend giving it a go. Being able to drop into my browser and immediately drop into a calm soundscape without the usual chaos of the internet has genuinely been a game changer for my productivity and overall sense of calm. So do go and give Opera Air a try. Remember, you can download it for free using the link in the description or comments below. So what really is one of the kind of driving natural features here is the River Edwy. But coming off from the river, you have this, which is a floodplain meadow, fresh molehill here. I know this really doesn't look like much now because we are in the dead of winter, but this floodplain meadow is one of the most quintessential British habitats. In the spring and summer months, you know, this would just be awash with different wildflowers, different grasses. You know, per square meter, there can be up to 40 different species. They are just naturally really productive spaces. You know, in the winter, wetter months, they flood and all of that sediment and water is deposited and stored here. And then in the summer months, they dry out and you get this surge of growth. And this natural rhythm, this natural cycle is something which people would have worked with in the past. So I believe they would have been cut once a year for hay, just after the flowers have gone to seed. And then they would have been grazed until it just became too wet again. But they've declined by more than 97%, and you know, that decline has been due to altering the rivers themselves so they can no longer spill over in periods of high flow, but it's also because the land itself has been intensified. And you know, it really is a sad thing because, you know, these meadow floodplains, while they are great for nature, they're also places which can be great for people as well in flood prevention, but also in producing food. However, they do it in, you know, a less intense fashion, which is something which I think we have to lean into a little bit more, you know, work with the natural rhythms. Speaking of natural rhythms, we have a nice feature right here. It is quite hard to tell now because everything's covered in snow, but this is a lake. This is what's known as an oxbow lake, and this is a sign that the main river has changed course. So essentially an oxbow lake forms because the river is impatient. Over time, rivers bend and they loop, but when the bend gets too tight, a flood cuts straight through. The river essentially abandons that old loop, and that cut-off section which is behind me here, this becomes its own new lake, an oxbow lake. Oxbow lakes are really important for wildlife because they provide, you know, a calmer area of water, and that diversity is really important. But it's also a pretty cool feature because it shows us that the river has told the story here. You know, the river has been in charge and not man, and when you're in a landscape which is so heavily influenced by man, it's pretty cool. It feels good to be out. Get yourself out there if you haven't already this year. I know it's January, I know it's bleak, I know it's cold, but just get yourself out. If floodplain meadows were rare, wet woodland is arguably rarer. Although it's not a game, it's not a competition. Wet woodland, how do we get more of it? Well, we need to welcome water from our rivers into our woodlands. We need to plant up forests next to our rivers. You know, rivers aren't happy if they haven't got trees next to them. We need to get beavers back into our rivers. Mr. Badger. I reckon he's sleeping. Let's leave him be. Yeah, you can tell this is an old section of woodland because there are some quite old and notable oak trees. Oh, go on then. Haven't given a tree a cuddle in a while. Yeah, nice old oak tree here. Definitely mature. Oak trees can live for 1,000 years. They grow for 300, they live for 300, and then they die for 300. Now, I'm not going to lift it up because there could well be hibernating under here, some reptiles and amphibians, but here we've got some corrugated iron, which is really important, not just now in the winter months, as you know, things like grass snakes and adders and newts and frogs will be hibernating, but also in the warmer months when they want to bask and get warm. It's nice to crawl under there and like cook themselves. Quite dense planting here, these trees. Maybe they're going for a bit of a Miyawaki method. So if you plant a lot of plants close together, they compete for the light and they all shoot up quite quickly. So we still have a little bit more time left in today. The sun's still shining, and I'm thinking I'm going to go to one of these markers. We're going to go see Llewellyn's cave. It's not far and it just sounded rather enticing to me. Temporary road surface, unsuitable for heavy goods, and lots of cones. Okay, not working. I'm gonna just casually roll back down this. As my dad always used to say, he had his worst accidents going backwards. So Llewellyn was actually the last native king of Wales, and he died fighting King Edward, I believe in the year 1282. These are facts which I've just found out, by the way. It's not something which I store in the memory bank, but it's always interesting to learn these things. Llewellyn's cave, this way. And I believe that was Llewellyn the Last, which was the grandson of Llewellyn the Great. It was Llewellyn the Great who united large parts of Wales together, and he was seen as a great diplomat. But it was his grandson, Llewellyn the Last, who died fighting King Edward. Another signpost. Llewellyn's cave was said to be the place where he hid after or during the battle with King Edward. Kind of cool to think that that's where the last Welsh king and his men were hiding out. I always wonder when I think about historical figures, and you know, I go to the places where they've been, where they've influenced, I often think about what was the landscape like for them. There was definitely a time when you had wolves roaming the landscape. I actually think that there is a legend about Llewellyn's dog, Llewellyn slaying his loyal dog, Gellert, and I believe it went something like he left Llewellyn guarding his infant son in a cradle, and when he returned there was blood everywhere. The cradle was overturned, so he took out his sword and he slayed his dog mistakenly, when in actual fact he went outside and he found a dead wolf. So in actual fact his dog Llewellyn had brazenly protected his son from this wolf, so the blood was that of a wolf. But that's the legend anyway. And we're back. It's lovely and cozy in here. Just been outside. It's getting dark now. I just wanted to say, if you want to support Leave Curious, if you've enjoyed this video, the best way of supporting the channel is by becoming a member over on Patreon. This supports every aspect of Leave Curious. You know, our core goal here is to explore nature. It's to showcase the people, the projects and the places who are working to restore nature too. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, just use the QR code on screen here or follow the link down in the description of the video. The snow is actually starting to melt. It's raining now. It's no longer snowing. If you want to keep watching the channel, check out the video that's on the screen here, and the membership is here. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Leave Curious.